Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. You came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Not so tough, but man's keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls, let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
I know that show introduction is all filled with jokes, but we did do that on purpose, right? Where we did a countdown from 2 minutes and the introduction is less than 2 minutes.
It's 1 minute. It's the fastest 2 minutes in sports.
All right, so that is a joke. We're doing that on purpose. That's not incompetence, correct?
No, the incompetence is starting at 9:05.
Okay. Well, at least I knew there would be incompetence somewhere that we can make a joke out of.
Found it.
So thank you. Also, we are very lucky today to have Charlotte Wilder and Amin Al-Hassan because basketball, Draymond Green is doing maximum Draymond Green things that don't have much of anything to do with basketball. This is how it ends for the Warriors, you understand. It's with him punching in the people in the face, getting his money, and then not making it about basketball at all. But before we get to that story, I just want to know what is happening in the left corner of the shipping container where you are suffering a punishment of some sort, the commissioner of the grid of death. And you're an old-timey baseball player?
Well, Dan, here's what happened is, as you know, I'm the commissioner. I rule with an iron fist, and it's December, as everybody's aware. So punishments have to be paid off as a, bucket of death is here. And it was brought to my attention that Roy was supposed to be completing a punishment today. Now, I switched with Roy, so it seemed only fair that I would have to pay off said punishment. Now, this is going to count as one of my punishments, but a punishment is being paid nonetheless, and I don't know what Roy's going to have to do. He's going to have to figure something out.
Looks like his punishment is invisible.
Pretty good punishment.
Are you a particular baseball player? Are you in character as an old-timey baseball player that's specific or just general old-timey baseball player?
I'm told that I am supposed to be Tungsten Arm O'Doyle from the 1921 Akron Groomsmen.
No, Dan. See, he's over here. He's Billy Two Legs. He's the fastest man we've ever seen in this sport. I'm also alarmed at how much Billy actually looks like. We just got to put you in sepia or sepia. How do you say that? Yeah. You know what I mean?
He does. You actually, I don't think we've ever had a costume that is quite that authentic. If you immediately stepped out from 100 years ago, I would think you don't even look like Billy. You look more like you're
all curly.
That's the picture right there. That's the picture right there. It's always in that stance.
And then a 47-mile-an-hour fastball.
Knuckler.
And then he shotguns like 4 beers in the dugout.
You've never seen anything like it.
That is how I expect the agent for Tommy Devito to come on and join us in 20 minutes. We have the agent for Tommy Devito on with us, and he looks like an old-timey. You guys kept doing like mafia stuff yesterday, and to me, he felt like an old-time journalist, like Bert Sugar, like somebody who would talk like a journalist in the 20s.
With press in his hat, like with the hat, and it's got the little press pass stuck in
Have you seen
there.
The Great Muppet Caper?
Yes.
You know how Fozzie wears the press hat and he goes, "Stop the presses!" And then he's like, "I just always wanted to say that."
You guys were
I got
very
that
excited.
reference.
You guys, I couldn't believe how excited you were when you learned. And I think about how prisoner of the moment we are. At any other point in our lives, if I had said to you guys, "Hey, we got Tommy DeVito's agent on," you'd be like,
No.
What, why? What are we doing? But today, the newsroom started bustling because a man who is dressed as a costumed agent for a quarterback who is playing strong Italian is very exciting to get on the show.
This is not a costume, Dan. This is his truth. Sean Stellato is
That's his
living
name.
his truth. He he's going to be inducted into the National Italian American Sports Hall of Fame this
Chris
weekend.
Cody, why are you laughing at Charlotte?
I'm just supporting a teammate.
I love you, Charlotte.
I'm trying to be here for her.
Okay.
He's racking those up because he was recently inducted into the Massachusetts Sports Italian Hall of Fame.
Wow.
The Salem, Massachusetts.
Oh,
one, I believe.
so not the
Michael.
whole. Not
Oh,
the
it's
whole
just
state.
Salem?
Well, I got to double check.
Charlotte, you're double checking, and this is there's some bad teammates around here. Although when we did the White Santa, or what was it, White Elephant thing,
Santa.
the White Elephant thing that we did yesterday.
White Santa's on the 25th.
Thank you.
3 Americas.
The White Elephant gift exchange that we did yesterday. This was a bustling place that gave me great joy because it made me feel like, wow, look, everybody's loving each other, getting along. We're having a lot of fun, singing, music, everything else. But there's nothing that creates more enjoyment around here, I think, based on Chris Cody's laughter when Charlotte was leaking confidence going through her notes. That was not you being a supportive teammate. You were enjoying that.
I mean, you called it out. You're the bad teammate. I was doing it quietly. She would have never known.
Well, while you've been bickering about who's a good or bad teammate, I learned that Sean Stellato is in the Salem High School Hall of Fame. So who's laughing now?
The reason we were bickering about it is because generally, if there are smiles in that room, I follow them. But he was laughing at you, not with me, and that's my point. And I didn't recognize that he was enjoying, because absolutely what he was doing is enjoying that you had to go to your notes, and now the show was just sitting in your lap.
Yeah, well, what else is new?
Billy, I would like for you to be different characters, different old-timey baseball. His teammates, whatever this guy's name is from the 1920s, O'Doul, I would like throughout the show for you to become different teammates of O'Doul. Can you do that for me?
Sure. Anything you want, Dan, because I'm a good teammate. By the way, speaking of bad teammates, this agent of Tommy DeVito, he really did the security guard of the Eagles like a disservice, right? Like, he was the Italian for the moment and then immediately got kicked off of that a week later.
An Italian from Philadelphia willing to fight the 49ers.
Dom DeSandro, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we have breaking news on the Tommy DeVito front. He is now the NFC Offensive Player of the Week.
There it is. So
Hey, we always knew we could do it.
Hurrah!
All right, so that
The
agent...
AFC Offensive Player of the Week, Zach Wilson.
What is going on?
What a week.
I will tell you what's going on there, okay? Football is very popular. We must keep it popular. All of the good quarterbacks are hurt. These are the ones that are left who are playing better than the other ones who stink who are left. That's what's happening. I mean, walk me through what's happening with Draymond, because these things don't end quietly. They don't end nice. They don't end well. Klay Thompson wants his money. Jordan Poole got punched in the face for tempting Draymond Green about the idea that he wasn't going to get his money. And Draymond Green hasn't done substantive basketball stuff in a while. Like, they are no longer champions. They're not going to be champions. It's over in Golden State. Obviously,
there's a soundbite.
The young people have taken the sport from them, and they're not going to win the championship. I mean, you know this.
I don't know if there's any team that makes me feel confident they're going to win a championship. So I would say from a Golden State perspective, jury's not out, because there's nobody out there who appears to be infallible or dominant in that way.
Well, I would say that Denver was that last year.
They were.
And Denver is a good deal better than them. And this is how the decline. Yes. I know that at the end of these games, I saw the one the other day. I thought Steph Curry had won the game late with a 3, 118, 115. But no, Oklahoma City's really good. Yep. And when I tell you that the young people aren't going to let them stay champions, they've been reminding the Memphises of the world, we've got 4 rings. But that isn't what it was, okay? This is the diminished remains of what was the best regular season basketball team I have ever seen, and then added Kevin Durant. And the remains of that have a smoldering presence at the middle of the locker room that is totally volatile, cannot be trusted to handle frustration with grace. And frustration is what you saw. Mahomes got used to winning, and what you saw leak out of him was that. Draymond's used to winning. They're not winning anymore, and he's at the center of it. What's happening there?
I just think this is a guy. I don't know if it's tied to not winning. I just think he's operating in a space where he feels untouchable. I can do anything, and there will be no repercussions. And that's weird, because basically in the calendar year of 2023, this is going to be I'm assuming he's going to get suspended for this. It's going to be his 4th suspension. In just 2023, he's only had 5 total in his career. Game 5 of the finals, he had a suspension in 2018-2019 from the argument with Kevin Durant. But then in 2023, he got one for having too many technical fouls in March. In April, he stomped on Sabonis' chest in the playoffs. And then the Rudy Gobert incident, and now this. And it's like, I don't know, after every one of these incidents, have you ever heard him be contrite? Or be like, man, I got to do a better job.
Look, man, he has earned championship FU. This isn't contrition. They are defiant. They win at the center of his defiance. His defiance has only been rewarded.
But his defiance this year, this calendar year, has been nothing but a dumpster fire.
He did say after this one, he said, I am not one to apologize for things I mean to do, but I do apologize to Yusuf because I didn't intend to hit him. I sell calls with my arm, so I was selling the call, and I swung, and unfortunately I hit him, which is also admitting that he was going against the NBA's very important policy of no
STEM
flopping.
rule.
The STEM rule. What does that stand for, mean?
Secondary, theatrical, exaggerated movements.
That is great. I wish that what happened is they just fined him for flopping because he copped 2 flopping like that. This was a total accident. I was just flopping. Like, I would, please fine me for flopping. It's what I was doing. And I actually believe him. I don't usually believe him, but on this one, he's parsed it so discerningly where he's saying, no, this one didn't have intent. I tell you when I have intent. Now, he doesn't do that either because he intended to step on Sabonis' chest. But I actually believe him in this instance.
Do you guys know what he got suspended for officially in the Rudy Gobert incident? What the league called it?
Choking?
It's called putting his arms around the neck in an unsportsmanlike and dangerous manner.
What's a sportsmanlike way to do that?
Exactly. No, look, there's a part of this, Dan, where you can say, yeah, the defiance is how we won our championships. But again, all the evidence recently is he's doing this and it's hurting his team.
Tommy DeVito's agent is next.
No, he's not. It's David Samson.
Let down.
David Samson is with us. His podcast is Nothing Personal. He works very hard on it. It comes out first thing in the morning. The degree of difficulty on what he is doing, a solo show, not a lot of people covering that subject matter. Not a lot of people in the media space are doing what he is doing. I encourage you to listen to the podcast, watch on YouTube, because there are not a lot of people doing right now what David Samson is doing. Colin Cowherd, the one-man show he does it with 10 writers. Those are grenades lobbed in the air to go viral, and that's how Colin Cowherd's going to do it at the end of his career. David Samson is starting his career as a solo artist. This shit is hard as a solo artist. I hated it as a solo artist. I wasn't very good at it as a solo person. So I'm encouraging you to listen to that podcast. It's very good. And I will say again, most people are afraid of a lot of the stuff that he's talking about, so they just let it go. They do not talk about it. Now, we've been making fun of you again, David, because we brought up that sound that you had a bunch of years ago about Ichiro bringing down baseball with his $100 million contract. And now you're out here, and I think you're louder than anybody, shriller than anybody about this contract is doom. Have you seen anyone push that take further than you, where you are pissed off on behalf of baseball, management, and everyone else, as always, that labor got money? You're pissed off that a guy gets paid what he deserves.
I'm also pissed off on behalf of agents. There's not one person in the baseball atmosphere who's happy with the Ohtani contract. The agents aren't happy, and I've spoken to a bunch of them because that deferral is an absolute joke without interest. The owners are not happy because they cannot compete with what the Dodgers offered. The way Ohtani and his agent dealt with this entire thing, it's actually not been positive in any way. And now you're seeing all the teams scurrying to sign the next guy, whether it's Yamamoto. The Giants immediately signed this Korean player, gave $113 million. So there's a great game of musical chairs going on.
David, why? Why do you think? Who does this deal help?
Who does the Ohtani deal help?
Yeah.
Well, if you believe that Ohtani can actually move to a state where there's no taxes and only have to pay tax on $2 million a year, the California rate, for 10 years, and then move to Florida the way Scherzer has and pay no state tax on $680. If you believe, because the tax law states, as some people are saying, if you defer money 10 years out, you pay tax in the place where you are when you get that money. That loophole is going to be closed. If I'm Ohtani, I am not assuming I get that savings. He never was going to leave Southern California. It was either the Dodgers or the Angels. I thought the Angels. And the Dodgers just went too far, and it's typical Dodgers with their financial bullying. All you had to do was defer 50% the way Scherzer got deferred or the way Betts or Freeman, but they made it so it's embarrassing.
David, so I don't know how these things work. You ran a baseball team, so you know better than I do. Yeah, same. Looking from it from afar, when he defers all that money, it seems like, okay, well then the Dodgers owner would be incentivized to just sell the team before he has to pay him the $680 million. But that's not how it works, correct?
No, there's something called a purchase price adjustment. That means when you buy something, so picture when you buy a house, and if that house, through inspection, it needs a new roof, you go back to the seller and say, hey, I was offering you $300,000, but a new roof costs $30,000. I'm now only going to give you $270,000 because I have to pay $30,000 for a new roof. And if I don't buy the house, you're going to have to get the new roof or it's going to leak all over you. That's what will happen with this Ohtani deal. If the Dodgers choose to sell, there is not an owner out there, any prospective owner, no matter how rich that person is, who will pay Ohtani $680 million not to play. So if the Dodgers are worth $6 billion, they'll actually get $5.32 billion instead of the full $6 billion.
But do they have to put anything like in escrow over these years? So they're actually paying part of it now, correct?
It really is such a joke, yes. Major League Baseball has this rule, and the union doesn't want any rules. They're okay with deferrals because players like forced savings plans, etc. But the rule is you actually have to segregate the amount of deferred comp that you have. You get a 2-year grace period, but any deferred comp over 2 years gets segregated. So let's pretend that we're today. The Dodgers don't have to segregate anything. But in 2 years, they have to segregate what he's got remaining. But the way you do it, and this is what teams do, you take a picture of your bank account that shows the amount of money in it that covers the deferred money. But that's only a snapshot. So what owners do is they reallocate from other accounts, assets they have, or they borrow money from a bank for 5 minutes. They put it into an account, and then they take it out
That's
the minute
unbelievable.
baseball certifies.
That is unbelievable.
Billionaires are just like us.
No, but what Samson just did there, did you see the grinning light of delight on his face?
He loves it.
Oh, look at how happy he was. Let me tell you this secret about how owners fake what they're doing so that they could keep the business Ponzi scheme going. That's unbelievable how delighted you were not to reveal the Ponzi scheme, to be happy that it exists.
You rebel.
Well, it's so critical because you don't want to have that money just sitting there in an account available at all times, because you want that money working for you in other ways.
I would take it. I'll put that in my account. It can sit there as long as it wants. David, my question, what you just said all sound like a lot of math. The one thing that I take away from this is that Bobby Bonilla Day ends in 2035, and Shohei Ohtani Day is, if that's what we're going to call it, feels like it is, starts in 2034. So I just feel like it's important we always have one of those big days happening, and I'm glad that they dovetailed it like this.
And Charlotte is right. I believe that what you did there, what you just did to explain that to us, is more informed than anyone I've heard talking about these contracts. And Charlotte is right when she says people are tuning out. It's just a bunch of numbers. It's a bunch of numbers.
No.
Yes, it's a bunch.
That was interesting.
I was into it too.
I'm into it. That was interesting.
I agree. It was interesting to me. Man, you're going to explain to me that America hates math? Like, America hates math, and he's talking numbers. And you know what's worse than math? Doing it in podcast form, rat-a-tat-tat style, with a guy who's the smiling face of corporate greed, who enjoys telling you about these dirty secrets these billionaires do to keep sports from us ever knowing, hey, Ohtani, he's kind of undervalued at $700 million because he pays for himself with all of the international money that comes over. Doesn't even need our $700 million because of how much he makes. No, I know you're going to disagree. Of course you are. He is worth this money, David.
Of course you are.
Let me give you some facts about Bobby Bonilla and why that day is so special. Do you know that Bobby Bonilla, the reason why he gets the $1 million a year is the Mets deferred his money, but they pay him 8% interest. And the reason they were willing to pay Bobby Bonilla 8% interest on their money is the Mets were investing that money that they would have paid to Bonilla, and they were giving it to Madoff. And so they were getting more than 8%, so it's a great business deal. Take cash, get 15%, but only pay 8% to get it. That's a winner. The loser is Ohtani, who's getting 0 interest on his money.
All right, now you
0.
lost me.
There were also lots of losers in the Madoff situation.
Well, this is the thing. No, but this is what he's smiling about. This is the
I'm not smiling about Madoff.
No,
no.
You're not. No,
there's the line.
You're not smiling about Madoff, the guy who got caught. You're smiling about the fact that the Wilpons made money. The Wilpons made money by giving. Yes, by. What is the distinction you're making?
Like that's what makes me happy.
That's a huge distinction.
No, but listen. Here's why it's not. Here's why it's not a huge distinction. All of this shit you're talking about, billionaires taking an iPhone picture of their bank accounts because they've made all this money in all these other places that they then give to the ultimate schemer to make yet more money off it. That's what Bonilla is being paid in 2035, and sports fans are mad that Bonilla is making that money when they're not mad at the Wilpons for being less famous for making more money off that same scheme money.
I would not compare when you try to leverage other people's money to make money for yourself to what Bernie Madoff did. Bernie Madoff died in prison having done a real Ponzi scheme where you steal from people, including a ton of great charities. Bernie Madoff deserves to be in hell forever. And whatever his definition of, I hope it's worse. What the Wilpons did is what all owners do, what all people. It's what you try to do. Are you not investing money in Meadowlark hoping you get more back?
What is that saying? I'm investing money in you hoping I'm getting more back. How's that going?
Good luck.
How's our merch store doing? How's everything going?
He's smiling again.
Well, the merch store happens to be doing great at LeBatardAF.com. And the reason why it's doing great is you guys are doing such great promotions and great drops. People love the merch. There's fulfillment happening. Everything's great, though I would like you all to pay a little more attention to running of the merch store, because what Angel and Juju are doing together is so fantastic.
I ain't did
Their
shit. Don't no,
ideas-
Juju ain't did a goddamn thing. I ain't touched.
Yes,
the
you
shirt.
have.
No, no, I haven't. Like, no, I haven't done nothing. Nobody has presented something to me that makes sense in that category. Leave me out of this. I have no designs on that website.
No, no designs yet, but we've had great talks about what I want you to help me with in that merchandise store, Juju.
All right, listen, we've got a problem here that I will reveal to the audience later. Not even later in our future years. I'm talking about later in this show. I will explain some of the problems that have to be managed between people at our company when money's involved. And Juju's not playing, okay? Like, that's not. So I'll explain that later. But, David, LeBatardAF.com. Juju, I don't want to lose you here. I don't want to lose you. Come on, stay with us. Stay with us. All right? Stay with us.
I promise I'm right here with you, brother. I love you.
Okay.
All right, we got him back.
All right.
He's back.
Stay with me, okay? Stay with me. No, Juju and I have had, I believe, our most meaningful conversations recently. He knows I love him, but Juju's mad, and I don't want corporate pissing off any more people at our company. But our company needs corporate because it's a crumbling media economy, and we need to figure out ways to share money. And it's hard when you do business with friends. LeBatardAF.com, Samson Sucks 20 is the code if you want 20% off. I'm going to now go. I'm going to take a break because we got Tommy DeVito's agent, Samson. We will talk about this off air. Thank you. No review this week, okay? LeBatardAF.com. LeBatardAF.com, Samson Sucks 20. Go ahead and keep laughing at Juju. Let's see how that goes. Like, we're not laughing about this.
I'm laughing at that setup with Samson.
This is not funny.
I'm not laughing at Juju, Dan.
Samson Sucks 20 is the code. LeBatardAF.com is the website. I can't believe how unreasonably excited everyone here is about this. I'm confused by it. I'm hypnotized by it.
We applauded. The
It's
newsroom
so
applauded.
strange. We were so delighted to see what I was calling the costume you were wearing on Monday, and everyone here yelled at me and said, that is not a costume. That is who that man is. And I'm like, but he looked like a journalist from the 1920s. And they're like, no, Sean Stellato is authentically Tommy DeVito's agent, and Tommy DeVito is authentically Italian. So, Sean, thank you for joining us. And please just tell me what the reaction was generally to you standing next to your star client, the player of the week in the NFL somehow. I can't even believe I'm saying this. Tell me what the last few days have been like for you as Tommy DeVito's agent. And thank you again for joining us.
My pleasure. You know, it's been obviously pretty crazy, but at the end of the day, we're focusing one day at a time. He's preparing for New Orleans. I'm preparing for working on some opportunities for him and other clients. But it's definitely, there's been a lot of people coming out that I haven't heard from in a while. But like you said, what you see is what you get. I mean, this wasn't no costume. That's my wife.
Yeah.
My first life, I was from the 20s, though. She did say that.
Sean, I just want you to know I had your back. I was like, Dan, don't you say that. You look incredible. Am I right that you're being inducted into the Italian American Sports Hall of Fame this weekend? Or is that what your hat is?
Yeah, you know what? I'm representing
Yeah.
gifts from New Era. But, yeah, I'm getting inducted Friday night. So excited, very humbled, honored. I think about who came before me, my ancestors, you know, very low means from Ponte Grande and San Bias, Catanzaro, Calabria, Italy. I'm here now. This is pretty remarkable and very blessed. And I've got some amazing clients that I work with. I'm really excited for Tommy. It's crazy how it's all kind of, the stars are aligned the week of the Hall of Fame induction, which is kind of cool.
I'm going to ask you a very difficult question. I give you the choice and you have to answer it. And don't give me agent speak. You have to answer this question. You get the choice of either being inducted into this Hall of Fame or all the calls that you're getting from Italian sponsors and pizza companies because your client this week is going to make a lot of money and your phone has to be ringing like crazy. I give you only one of those you can have this week in a dream week. You choose one. Which is it? The Hall of Fame or all this opportunity that's coming your way for being Italian this week?
You know, I would say the opportunity for Tommy DeVito, I would choose. You know, my first and foremost is a sports agent. You know, this Hall of Fame's cool. It's great for my kids and my family and the ancestors, but I'm a full-time sports agent. You know, I wear my emotions on my sleeve, and it's about servicing my clients. And I would pull that straw all day long.
Sean, I have a question for you. When this gesture, can you tell me what does that mean to you? Like, this means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. We've seen it a lot in the recent weeks, and I think it's amazing. I'm married to an Italian American. This is a real, yeah. This is a real thing.
She's doing Italian for the podcast.
Yeah, and I would like to know what it means to you.
The chain. Hold on.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So long story. This can be interpreted, I think, different parts of Italy, where you're from. But I mean, forget about it. I mean, it's really just, hey, listen to me, you Mama Luke. I mean, come on. So I think, or, you know, it's just kind of, you know, people are not paying attention. It's a symbol. I think it's interpreted differently by different Italians. But it's definitely a powerful hand gesture that Tommy's passionate about. I love it. And I'm sure a lot of proud Italianos all over the world are starting to incorporate in their daily routine a little bit more. I think it might have been really used a lot more in years back, but I think it's the contemporary hand gesture, and we're excited for it.
Well, they have an emoji too, which I think is very important.
Is on his necklace. That's the medallion. It is that emoji, correct?
No.
Yes, that is correct. Yep. That that's Oh, I lost you guys.
We can hear you.
We hear you.
Can you hear me? Okay. That is the Italian horn, which is considered, for the Malecki. It's supposed to protect you. There's a lot of Italians. We have a lot of superstitions, and whether it's I have a lot of pregame rituals that I can't change up. So I'm kind of torn up for Sunday. We're trying to weigh in, but I know his dad's very superstitious and his mom, and that's something that we carry as Italians, very sacred to our hearts.
Have you and Tommy DeVito ever had an argument that has escalated into genuine "listen to me, you Mama Luke"?
Tommy and I both got an understanding of each other. For me to get it done for him on and off the field, but no, we haven't had that heated argument. Like Tom Brady and Coach O'Brien did back in the Washington game years back. We're staying in our lane, and we're laser focused on obviously delivering it for him on a daily basis and what he needs. And look, I stood on the table for him draft day and had to listen to 28 other teams say no. One thing I've kind of lived my life is the best revenge is massive success, and just don't worry about things you can control. And I know he's locked in. Not listening to all the hype. Neither am I, because at the end of the day, we're an opinion-based business, and you're only as good as your last game, as we all know that. I'm only as good as my last deal. So I got to, it's a constant evaluation process for, everybody in this business, a player as well as an agent.
Speaking of sports and deals, and I want to know, what's your take on Ohtani's contract as an agent? Like, how do you feel about the deferment of that much money until 2034?
I think, look, tomorrow's not promised to anyone, and obviously football out of the four major sports has got the highest injury rate. I think the guarantee component's important. Obviously, you look at how free agency and salary caps have really changed the game, especially in the NFL. But I'm sure, I'm locked in on my guys in terms of their deals. I'm sure, obviously his camp got an agenda and how they've strategized to get him paid. But it's definitely, new precedents are met, every year. And I think as agents, you strive for that to, get to the top of the market for your guys.
You're being very gentle. Yeah. You're being very gentle.
Yeah.
It's agent speak. It's not authentic Italian Sean, what he's saying in private speech. Like, you gave me a load of agent bullshit because you don't want to be mad at other agents because you don't want to be the story. Yeah. But you want your man, Tommy DeVito, what's going to happen? Yeah, the Giants will tell you we'll pay you in 10 years. Yeah. Deferment. Come on.
Hey, I think you got to have a sit down and you got to break bread and, maybe you could go swing by Bada Bing and see if there's anything to be worked out.
Okay, because that I felt like you didn't give us honesty there, that the other agents are super pissed about this. It's a bad contract for your business because you can't defer payments because, like you just said, you know how lucky you are. All the quarterbacks have to get injured for yours to get a chance.
Yeah, it's definitely this. I think the whole evaluation process on talent. Look at a lot of experts get it wrong. We see it every year in the draft. They get it wrong in free agency. I think in terms of having an eye for talent and really believing in your guys, I think is important. And I've been doing this for SES Sports is over a decade old. I take pride in the guys I go after, the character, the traits, and ability to want to give back as well to those in need. But a lot of the decision makers, as we know, is out of our control. Especially in the early process going undrafted, you got to cut your teeth. And there's been a lot of great players that end up in Canton that got an opportunity on something unorthodox happening and an injury. I know, Tommy was an Elite 11 quarterback. Tommy was a dark horse for the Heisman. Tommy went out to the Open in Oregon and outperformed Tua and Trevor Lawrence. So I think what he's doing, it doesn't surprise me one bit. He hasn't even scratched the surface of what he's going to become in this league.
Sean, you have also maybe not scratched the surface. I don't know if people know this, but you write children's books, and you've also Yeah, and,
I'm
and you've
sorry.
you've just gotten blurbs from some really amazing people. You've gotten blurbs from Bill Belichick, Chip Kelly, Doug Flutie, Sean Payton. I mean, it's Buddy and the Magic Ball and Football Magic, and you also have a book, No Backing Down. Can you tell us a little bit about being an author?
No, and it's also Fourth and Long, The Odds, My Journey. So you're doing a lot of writing in your spare time.
You know what? I've always tried to be creative. My daughter Gianna, she suffers from juvenile arthritis, and we were in and out of Boston Children's Hospital. And I said, Gianna, what can we do to start a movement? And she said, Daddy, let's write a children's book. So she took her passion for ballet, mine for football, and we intertwined it and came up with Football Magic. And it's kind of has some Harry Potterism into it / meets the Goonies, and it's a beautiful tale. Early chapter book. So that's going to be a series. My book, No Backing Down, I've been an underdog my entire life. This story, I'll challenge any sports story ever written. It's kind of like Remember the Titans meets a team of Rudies. But the mantra of my journey is no backing down. So it's kind of cool that is the title and how I live my life every day. It's a human triumph story. It's an underdog high school football team, and let's just say it definitely got some oomph to it. All the parallels to the Salem witchcraft trials, as crazy as that sounds. And
What?
Yes.
What?
Our coach was literally compared to Jim Jones and David Koresh starting a football cult, and which was completely false. He was pretty much, the coaches put their livelihoods on the line because there was a major teacher strike. They had 2 contracts, one to coach, one to teach. The administration said, if you coach, we're going to terminate you on the spot. The union says, go coach. Your job description and the collective bargaining agreement has no relevance. That we broke into schools, stole our equipment, stashed it at a local field, and it was we were undefeated, getting ready to play. Todd McShay was the quarterback of Swampscott, and let's just say we had three miraculous games you can't write. So the movie script's done.
Of course. No, it's just getting started. It's getting started right now. The movie script is beginning right now. Sean, forgive me for interrupting you on this. We're up against the clock, but we will talk to you again. I have 1,000 more questions. So thank you. We want to respect your time. So thank you for being on with us, sir.
I appreciate you guys having me. Go Giants, and you guys enjoy this holiday season, all right?
Thank you, sir.
All the best. Ciao.
I did a rare thing I hardly ever do off air. Stugotz loves to do it to me. Stugotz loves, after we've had a disagreement of some sort on air, he loves to text me all the way home and the next day, the night, when he goes and does research and explain to me why Ohtani is indeed overrated. And I get it all night and I get bombarded with it. But I don't usually do that to other people. But after the show yesterday, I sent Chris Cody a tweet that reported that Titans victory that we just saw, in all circumstances when a team is down 14 points with 3 or 4 minutes left in a football game, and the number was like some 700 times it's happened, and nobody ever comes back in that situation. I was explaining to Chris Cody while he was trying to give me perspective and say, look, this is just one loss. All teams in that sport lose a game to a bad team. And while he's right about that, what he's not right about is none of the teams in the top of that sport fighting for that position have ever lost that game that way in that situation. And it's crushing to your fan base, to your family. Your mom is out. She's Dolph out. She thinks everything that's ever happened to this team is going to happen again, and they're going to lose. And this is the beginning of what signals it. That game lost that way. Yes, of course, we could come in the next day, Chris. Of course. And if they'd lost 23-9, we come in, well, that was a weird one, but football's weird, huh? Look at what Devito just did. Did you see how his agent was dressed? Like, football's weird. So it happens, and you can convince yourself of that. But if you believe that all of these teams are as fragile as their quarterbacks, physically and otherwise, right? Because Chris Long is texting me. He's going to get a tattoo of Tua if
Look at me,
I was going to hit somebody with a look at me Luigi in the last segment after somebody said something, and I got scared. So
would it be the I have an Italian-American husband, so I can do the Italian
That
fingers?
is what it was.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying.
That is exactly what I was going to use it on. But Chris Long has stakes in this team being a fraud, because he has been saying for a while it's a fraud. They can't be good teams, not physical enough. Tua's not a good quarterback. I'll get a tattoo if he can win the Super Bowl. And so he texted me last night asking, would you give Tua one of these big contracts? Because he's sort of taunting me, trying to say, would you, if you were in the front office position, would you give that big contract? And not only his health issues, but look at what just happened in that game when everything wasn't perfect. Look at what happened. If you can't get the ball out in 2.3 seconds and Tyreek Hill is hurt. And I'm asking him, well, you tell me, football expert who's got an excellent podcast. I'm confused by what's happening with Brock Purdy. I don't know how good he actually is, but God damn, when the 49ers are whole, he looks like he is the best player in the world, and I would give him all the money. But in a salary cap sport, you got to have value at that position if you want to keep Deebo Samuel and everyone else, because as we've learned in segments earlier in the show, everybody wants their stuff. Like when money's involved, and in that sport where you're giving your body over to the cause, like they're all fighting over money. You understand that at this point we have enough knowledge about football that if you have that as an option, largely sometimes it's because you don't have great options, and all of them are fighting over money, and the 49ers are now physically fighting people, and Draymond's on his way out the door because they use that furnace and that volatility for their means, and now here it is with San Francisco. Deebo wanted his money and he got his money. All of these guys are going to want their money. Brock Purdy's not making any money. Brock Purdy is working for less than $1 million a year. You got to find yourself a quarterback who lives at home like Devito so you could build the rest of them. That sport's not paying its players, its labor, enough money for you to have all of the money you need to keep all of those people happy when they're giving their bodies in a fight, often in the inner cities, for money.
Everybody made a whole big thing about Brock Purdy living with a roommate. And then Tommy DeVito came in and he was like, oh, I see your roommate and I raised you 2 roommates. They're my parents.
It's the new lane. Like this is, if the quarterbacks used to be Brady and Manning and they did their commercials, how do you get to the commercials now? I wanted to ask that dude 1,000 questions about the opportunities that are coming this kid's way because, hell, man, we're so desperate for a healthy quarterback. Josh Dobbs was our guy for a minute. Like it's,
I remember that.
It's totally crazy. But then you game plan for Josh Dobbs. These jobs are hard. We don't know what we're doing at the position. No one knows who's good. But you know how you get good? You got to get 7 straight opportunities. Good luck with that, kid. That's where your contract is. 7 straight opportunities. You got to get them all. Everyone's got to get hurt. Or DeVito, we never see him. Never talk about him. Don't know anything about him. On Tua. Brock Purdy, I don't know what he is. But he might be MVP of the league if San Francisco can stay healthy enough and have all of the passing numbers.
He is now second favored, according to sports books out there, DraftKings Sportsbook. Dak Prescott, with his recent performance over the Eagles, has taken a slight lead over Brock Purdy, but those are the 2 favorites right now.
Another quarterback who needs a lot of things to be perfect, and in Dallas, a lot of things look like they're perfect. But
to be fair, we know that Dak Prescott, with this year compared to previous years, we know that he needs a lot of things to be perfect. We're just assuming that, given the history of Kyle Shanahan's offense, but we don't have tape of Brock Purdy in a different system.
And we don't know that anyone can do it because Trey Lance couldn't, and he had the skill set. But my point still stands on this position. The people who are in charge, they don't know either. They don't. They're all guessing, and they're playing probabilities.
I believe that now that you and Stellato said that.
It is crazy. I found it interesting how his agent I got me thinking, how many third-string quarterbacks are there out there right now that genuinely in their team are like, I just need my shot.
Well, we're going to see them all.
Because we've mocked.
We're gonna see all of them.
We're like, oh, Devito, this guy came out of nowhere. But he's been sitting there like, just give me my chance, and I'm going to be the next
Browning,
guy.
too. But if Burrow had been healthy the next game, Browning's chance would have been done. He got one chance, and then he got a second chance. And you need to get 7 of them in a row because the job seems hard. It seems like hard to do. But Josh Dobbs didn't make it look hard because no time to prepare for Josh Dobbs. He doesn't know his teammates' names. We don't know what he's going to do. This is a military complex in terms of strategy. Belichick will strangle you. He will strangle even Justin Herbert every time. Justin Herbert doesn't know what because that defensive coach is also paid, and he's got to get his money, and these people are working a world that's ultra competitive. Let me get back to Tua, though. So I said to Chris Long, well, this is the way that I would do it. I assume happiness is something that Tua would value. I assume that Tua is seeing everything that the rest of us are seeing and seeing, this is a pretty good place where they support me. I worked for Flores. That didn't feel very good. I almost ended my career because of how miserable I was. I see that I have a certain value, and everyone else can argue about whether I'm MVP or the 12th best quarterback. But here they seem to get me. I've got a coach I trust. I've got franchise stability, and I don't have to play the way that Zach Wilson is doing it in New York, where the organization, man, Sale will bail on you in a minute if you cost him his job. So do I have organizational stability? If I'm Tua, I'm like, man, winning seems fun. Happy seems fun. I'll take less whatever because I'm putting a down payment on happy because I'd like the next 3 years, if I get concussed, I'm risking my brain. I'm risking my brain for this. I'd like it to be happy.
But isn't that the happiness, though, is knowing that I'm risking all this, so I'm going to be compensated accurately as opposed to me giving a discount
fine,
for the short term
okay, but he has seen, look, man, Flores is a Belichick disciple.
Mm-hmm.
Flores really didn't like Tua, support Tua, or think he was any good in a way that's obvious. But the new coach gets here and says, get me Tyreek Hill. I've got an answer for you. I do it a new way. I'm not doing it the way Belichick does. I like his division done a different way. I'm an ally. I'm a secretary. How can I help you? I'm a leader, but how can I help you? How can I make you better? Look, you and me are going to do this together. I'm a teacher. I'm with you. As long as I'm secure, you're secure. Then it becomes a relationship. Then it becomes love. Then it becomes fun. And then when you lose, it hurts together. But Tua gets half his money, and they're going to keep trying to give Tyreek Hill his money. They're going to keep trying. Tua, like, man, I don't know. I will tell you now that if I had to do some things over again as we did them at ESPN, I would not do many of them over again because I had to feel the pain of the last 2 years to get stronger and understand what happy looked like and what the cost of it was, what the price.
Really?
Yes.
Hold on, really?
Yes.
You wouldn't change.
Yes.
I don't know about that.
No, I would not change it. I'll tell you why I wouldn't change it. I would not change what I did because the suffering has now gotten to a point where it's made me stronger. But the last 2 years have been an unholy hell, and I was pushed into that position, at least in part, because they took out one of our guys. And when they did that and tempted me to do it myself, I said, okay, I'll do it myself. But self-employment is hard.
Yeah.
Like it is hard. And now the responsibility of 44 people and the media industry's falling apart. And can you get to something stronger and happier? Can I make these people believe in what we're doing enough that I care about their families, that I care about the responsibility of this? Can I make them feel loved in this environment so we're not fighting over money?
So let me ask you this question, right? If a genie came by and said, hey, I could take you back to, 2017 when everything was cool at ESPN or cooler than it.
I'd spend more time with my brother. I'd quit and go spend more time with my brother. That's what I would do if you gave me a genie.
No.
If you gave me a genie. And I'd write books with my brother, and I'd do cartoon books, and I'd do art with my brother, and I'd do a business with my brother that I was trying to get to. That's how I would answer that question.
Okay. Like, I'd wish for Cam Ward to transfer to Miami.
What's the story there?
We'll find out today.
But Rick Ross is involved?
Rick Ross was at Prime 112. There was a photo. The Miami's choosing between two top quarterbacks in the portal. It's either going to be Will Howard or Cam Ward. Unless
it's Miami's choice?
There's a deadline today. Someone's got to make a choice. They rate both, and it's a good position for Miami to be in. So we'll find out. This is no matter what, it presents an upgrade over Tyler Van Dyke, who, congratulations, we just found out yesterday is transferring to Wisconsin.
I'm going to be honest. I don't think the genie in 2017 would know who Cam Ward was.
I mean, with the COVID year, he might have been in Houston. I gotta look it up. I was
2017.
also looking up the Tommy DeVito Heisman campaign that never was.
Well, you mentioned Wisconsin. You know that when they were at Illinois, he beat them real bad, and then they fired their coach, right? So just to bring it back to Tommy DeVito.
Cam Ward was 15 at the time, and if like a genie is presenting you with 15-year-olds, stay away from that genie.
Not the way your mustache looks right there. Like you look like someone that I could incriminate on that front. Is that a different
That's a
mustache?
different mustache.
That's a different.
No, it's not.
Yes.
No, I'm pretty sure it's the same one.
I think
It's the same.
It's the
You're
same.
gaslighting us.
Style different.
Thicker.
What?
Yeah, you just brush it differently.
Yeah.
I mean, is what I'm saying ridiculous, though? The idea of Tua understanding with his coach that organizational stability is something worth valuing, that they clearly helped make him better, and he values that.
Yes, but also, like we said, he puts his brain on the line every Sunday, and I think that's a different calculus. It's not like an NBA player taking less so they can get good teammates.
I understand, but it's still the difference between $200 million and $100 million. It's a big difference, but what's the cost of Happy? I'm dead serious on this. Like, I'd pay that if I had it for Happy.
I'm paying a lot for Happy and Cam.